Hey everyone, John here from Cast and Spear, and today we have the final episode with Dan Smith from howtocatchanyfish.com, where we go into a little Q&A where we talk about his favorite fish, his favorite rig, his favorite special pole that nobody else knows about except for him, but he's going to release that secret to the world, so make sure you listen for that one. And if you like this style of episode, let me know. So hit me up at castandspear.com/contact. I'm going to try and switch up how we do some of these episodes just to play with them to see if it resonates with you. And with that, please welcome our final episode with Dan Smith. So the first one is, what is your favorite fishing knot? And you can do either or all, line to lure or line to line.
Yeah, I think I'll go with the uni knot, which can be line to lure, and a double uni can be line to line. It's just a real versatile knot. You can use it on 100-pound fluoro. You can use it with 6-pound mono. It's obviously it has a good strength ratio. Easy to tie. You can tie it in a pitching boat, in the dark, which sometimes you're doing. So it's good to have knots that you can tie in those conditions. Low profile doesn't. It's not a big bulky knot. And it's used for a lot of different things. So I probably have about maybe 5 or 6 knots that are kind of my go-to knots for different things, and the uni knot is definitely one of them.
So what is your favorite fish overall, either saltwater, freshwater, that you love to catch?
I think I'll go with the peacock bass. Again, they're no two of them look the same. They're just a cool looking fish, and I think everyone sort of has that fish for them that, for whatever reason, they're really into, and that's the one for me. I've even kept them for several years in aquariums. I just like everything about them.
If you had to pick one fish to eat, what would it be, and how do you like it prepared?
I would probably just go with tuna and say raw. I eat a lot of sashimi, and easy to prepare and tastes good, and that's probably my favorite way to eat fish.
Do you have a specific tuna? We're talking yellowfin.
Yeah, I have many fond memories of yellowfin caught and then cut up and eaten on the boat while we were out there. You have to be a little careful doing that. I guess there's some parasites you can get from doing that. But maybe just stick with the smaller ones. In restaurants, I like the bluefin tuna, but I've never tried. I've caught some bluefin tuna, but I guess I've never tried eating any of the ones I've caught raw. But I certainly like them in restaurants.
What is your favorite place to fish? I know we talked about the top 5 places, but if you had to pick one to go back every year, what would it be?
Yeah, I'd go with the Amazon. It's just such a vast place, and there's so many different fish there. There's thousands of fish species there. There's so many different parts of it that I feel like I could go 4 or 5 times a year for the next 20 years and not fish all of it.
Now, was that video on your website you catching piranhas? Or what was that fish, that big one?
With the alligator? That's a payara.
Payara.
Yeah, the vampire fish. So I have a whole page on them if you're interested in those.
That is one wicked fish.
Yeah, very tough fish to hook and land. They have a very bony mouth, and they tend to strike really fast and let go really fast. And it's hard to get a hook in them. You have to, if you watch any of the videos of me catching them, you'll see 4 or 5 hard hook sets for each one. And on that trip where I caught most of the ones on that video, I probably hooked 100 and landed maybe 15, 16.
That's crazy.
My ratio did get better throughout the week. I think the first 2 days I didn't land any, and I sort of started to learn throughout the week, how to get the hook set right and how to keep them on. So by the end of the week, I was landing probably half the bites I was getting.
Super cool. I'll put a link to that video in the show notes for this podcast episode.
Oh yeah, sure.
And then for the last question, what is your favorite setup? Like your rig? Like what pole is your favorite? Reel, line choice? Is it braid, mono?
Yeah, so I mean, I have quite a few different setups for lots of different kinds of things. Maybe I'll just go with my bass setup since that's what I use most often. So I have some custom-made rods from a company called Performance Tackle, which is based in Los Alamitos near Long Beach in Southern California. The owner of that store, Mark Higashi, makes some really great rods, super lightweight, really sensitive. Um, Probably the best rods I've ever used for bass. So that's my go-to rod there. And Mark has forgotten more about bass fishing tackle than most people will ever know, and so he's a really great resource for me. Some of the stuff on the site is from learning from Mark. And then on reels, I tend to be a Daiwa guy especially for light freshwater reels. I feel like their high-end reels are kind of the standard and a cut above any of the other reels I've used. So I really like their Steez line. They're kind of pricey, but I've used them in a lot of different places, and they're just really smooth and really light. And if you're going to be casting, 8, 10 plus hours a day, those extra couple ounces of weight really make a big difference by the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a good choice. That's a good reel right there. I got to talk to Mark. He's over local. If he's in Long Beach, I'm gonna have to reach out to him and say what's
He
up.
knows more about tackle than anyone I've ever met. I mean, he services the reels, and he's actually, his store is right next to Daiwa, the corporate headquarters of Daiwa, or at least the local one, and he knows those guys real well. And most of my tackle, maybe not most, but probably half my tackles come from him.
Wow, super cool. All right, and the last thing is, what would you like our listeners to do? Would you like, maybe you can tell them where they can reach you, where they can find out more information about all the stuff that you're up to?
Yeah, they can go to howtocatchanyfish.com, and then on the contact page, if they want to reach out, I'm always happy to hear from people. It's one kind of neat thing about starting the website is that I get these messages from people all over the world, like people in the Middle East, people in these tiny islands in the South Pacific. I think I had one guy from Palau reach out and say, hey, I looked at your site and I used this thing. And, it's really nice to hear when people have found things useful, or I've gotten a few invitations to go fishing in different places. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to go on any of those yet, but yeah, people can reach me through my website, and I like hearing from people.
All right, that does it for this episode and series of the podcast with Dan Smith. Be sure to go to howtocatchanyfish.com and say thanks. He gave us a whole week of his time to be able to share all the knowledge that he's learned fishing, and hopefully we can have him back to share even more. For this next week, our guest is going to be Johnny Harville. He's one of the teammates with Cast and Spear, a very good guy. He's based out of Alabama, and I can't wait to share some of his insights about fishing. He's been fishing for a long time as well, so it's going to be exciting. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss another episode. And even better, if you know somebody who would love this kind of Fishing Daily podcast, please share this with them. Could not thank you enough. Keep those lines tight, everyone. See ya.